Hey, are you one of those people, one of those founders who thinks that everything's going perfect all the time in your business and that running into challenges really isn't in your protocol? I'm here to tell you it is. It is so part of being a founder. And as you're trying to grow and scale your operations, no matter the size of your business, there's always moments in your career and in your business life where you find yourself battling your personal life and your business life, or one or the other, and usually they both affect each other. If you haven't experienced that, get ready, it's probably coming. Today's guest was a sweetheart. Her name is Serena. She's an amazing woman, amazing business founder who grew and scaled a business and then hit some pretty traumatic things in her life. You're gonna love her story of not only her ability to grow and scale, but also to overcome the challenges that hit her in the face. And as she overcame them, her business rebounded, regrew, and became stronger because of the challenges that she faced in her growth and scaling operations. For those of you looking for what it takes to scale a business, I am 100% sure that today's episode is going to impact the way you think about the emotional side of growing and scaling, as well as what it takes to rebound from rough personal things that can happen and put you into a better trajectory of how to grow and move forward from those trials. In her case, many blessings came from her trials, and I hope that it happens with you. Please take a moment to share this episode with anyone you feel like might benefit from learning how to rebound, seeing how others have done it in their path to growing and scaling their businesses. I hope you enjoy this episode. Thanks so much for being here. Welcome to the Growth and Scaling Podcast. This is your host, Todd Westra, and I am so glad you're here today because we are going to interview an amazing founder or executive who is going to share with us their decisions that they made that exploded their growth. So if you need some inspiration, you want to hear how other businesses are doing it, this is the place to be, and we are glad you're here. Enjoy this episode. Hey, we are so glad to have you back on the show today. We have got an amazing guest with a lovely name, Serena. I love the name. I just love people to have the name. And so I'm just going to stop that because I think it's kind of cool. But anyway, Serena, will you give us in a few seconds here, in a few minutes, who are you and what problem do you solve?
So I am the founder of PulseMarketing. Pulse is actually, my mom named the company, and it resonated
Awesome.
with me that we are at the heart of creative. So we are real, we are authentic, and we get to, advertising and marketing on an emotional level. I'm also the author of a book that's about to release called Exposed. And the subtitle is You Can't Heal When You Hide. And then I'm also a co-founder of a new company called Core Products, and core is the Latin term for heart. And there's products from the heart. Wow. I hope you don't make me emotional during this conversation. I don't normally cry on the show. I know, I have a feeling you might get me there. Yeah, it's you can't really connect emotionally if you're not fully vulnerable. So I honestly commit to being vulnerable and raw and authentic with you.
Well, I appreciate that. As a marketer, and speaking to another marketer, I will say I looked at some of your portfolio and I looked at some of your clients, and you do a beautiful job. I really I had to chuckle at the gun business that you're associated with. I was like getting ready for all these more feminine products, and then I see this gun product. I'm like, this is awesome. Yeah. I can't wait to meet this person.
We actually just got back from SHOT Show, and it's funny that I am so in touch with like my feminine energy. But I work well with the good old boys, and I know how to be tough when I need to be tough. So definitely my first gun I ever shot was like an AK, but it was with a silencer. So I didn't realize how strong it was until they took the silencer off, and then I was like,
Whoa! Ow, my ears!
it was wild. So
That's awesome. No, I like shooting guns too. So that's really kind of fun.
yeah, it is.
So tell us about the journey. I mean, you help people tell their stories, right? I mean, what's the biggest, as you look at your clients and you're like vetting a potential client, what do you see as that perfect client that you look at and you're like, okay, this, I want to solve their problem?
So I resonate the most with clients who have similar values, of course,
Awesome.
that really embrace being growth-minded and learning. Our team becomes an extension of their team, so we really integrate ourselves into what they're doing. And so just that growth-minded value is really important to us. And then also we embrace feedback. So we want a client that is not, afraid to share feedback and give us guidance and direction so that we can grow together.
Love it. Love it. Now you talked about being growth minded. I want to dive into that just a little bit because I think there's a lot of companies, I think a lot of people have this misconception that every business is out there to grow.
Yeah.
Do you think that's true? Like, is that an accurate statement, or are some just kind of happy being there?
So I would say that it depends on what your main purpose is. Growth can be, interpreted in many different ways. And for some people, growth is money. And for some people, growth is investing in people. And so it really depends what your version is. For me personally, my value of being growth minded is investing in those that work with me, investing in my team, investing in other people, because to me, I know the money will come as long as we all have the same vision and we're all, have the same core belief that we're investing in the right things. Right.
I love it. That's a really powerful statement. And, I love how you keep coming back to these core values. It's a huge, huge element to connect your company on a growth plane. I see a lot of businesses struggle to figure out what's going on. How come they're not growing right now? And oftentimes it has to do with that core foundation of the company. And you've now brought it up, I think 3 times in our short conversation about the values that you cherish. And I think it's huge. Why do you think that's so important? And why is it such a tool to align their company?
Well, you can't just decide, excellence is my core value and that's what it is and throw it up on the wall. You actually have to really get to a place in your heart where you believe that these values define you. And then every decision you make, you use those core values to guide you. So for instance, when we hire, we use those core values to identify the right person for our team. We also use those same core values when we have to let someone go and move on.
Yeah.
So if they're not,
I love it,
demonstrating those core values in their actions, then that might not be a right fit for us. And that also includes how we talk to our clients, because we have to live and breathe those core values daily. They're not just on the wall looking pretty for people to see. They are who we are.
I love it. The Bible teaches light attracts light, right? And I think that's a universal principle. I think light attracts light, dark attracts dark. I mean, people feel comfortable around people that have the same values that they do.
Yeah.
And I love that you have brought that up so much, because I personally feel like that's a huge piece missing from a lot of companies that are trying to grow and scale. They do have a hard time doing it because they don't have a defined set of values that unify their team. And I've let go of a lot of people, to your point, that didn't really align. They didn't mesh with the goals and the values that I wanted to have in my company.
Well, and your people are your companies. So if they don't align, if they don't align with your values, then you're literally going against the current. It's really challenging because then you're not all pushing towards the same vision. All
right. So Serena, you're a marketer. You help help build messaging for companies, and you have now been able to grow and expand your company. And you talked about your hiring, you talked about your growth. Tell us along that journey, what's been your favorite part of that growth journey that you've been on with this company?
I think my favorite part is has nothing to do with the actual company or the structure of the company. It's watching some of the people within my company who may have started as a coordinator or an intern really start to evolve and just become they just shines through into a leadership role. And watching that transition and being able to see them growing and then leading teams, I think that's my favorite part, because I have one employee specifically who is probably, I would say, one of my most trusted advisors and my creative director. And she started as just a multimedia coordinator. And so she kind of came in with her head down every day and just worked. And when we started to really push and challenge her to grow, it was like she shot up. It was almost like she just was thirsty for this opportunity. She was ready. And she took it on with her whole heart. And so I think that's one of my favorite parts, is getting to see that. One of my other employees that's no longer with us, and this was probably, we've been in business nine years now. This is probably our second year in business. She started with almost no experience. She was a project coordinator, and she actually got a job offer to work for Nike corporate. And we were like, this is amazing. And so even when our employees don't grow in the company with us, but they start to soar outside of the business, it's so exciting to see. So I would say that's my
I love it.
Part.
That is a really good part. And I loved how you referred to this person as one of your most trusted advisors. Seriously, that says so much about you and your company and your culture. And for those of you that are watching, and those of you that are wanting to know what it takes to scale, this is what it takes to scale. This is you've now exemplified two amazing principles that we teach at our company to people when we're working with clients to build a growth model and a growth and scaling plan. It has everything to do with that culture, with your core values, with alignment, with seeing a vision of where you're trying to get to, and a vision of who you want to solve a problem for and how you do it, how you go about solving that problem. So as honestly, Serena, you have now by example shown that you truly believe in these things. What do you see as one of your biggest challenges that you've had to face in growing this business?
Well, this is where it gets raw.
Oh, great. Do I need a Kleenex?
Yes, you might need one. Let me start by saying the fight to never give up is painted as victorious. We often emphasize victory as something like someone overcoming something great and standing on the mountain and being successful and tall and happy and strong. And the truth is that the pain and the learning and the growth, all in the journey, is where the true inspiration lies. And when I started this business in 2013, I kind of did it kicking and screaming. I wasn't ready. I really liked getting a paycheck. But my mom inspired me to do it, so I was ready. And one day my husband just came home early from work one day, and I remember having that that gulp and then the pit, that feeling in the pit of your stomach where something is terribly wrong. And I looked down and he says, "I quit my job." And I was like, "What?" And he said, "If I'm going to sell anything, I'm going to sell something I believe in. And I'm going to do this with you." So that was terrifying, of course.
Wow.
Yeah. And we were married at that point for several years, and then through our 10-year marriage, there was many times where we were the power couple. We were knocking sales out and, growing the business, had this gorgeous 4,000 square foot office, like all the things that you dream of.
Right.
But the truth is that with his position, he kind of started a spiral and started to really engage in unhealthy habits. And he was unfaithful on several occasions. And when you own a business and this is happening behind the scenes, no matter how hard you try to hide that, it shows up in everything you do, because you're constantly masking all of the things in your personal life to protect the business. But in truth, you're still human. And when I found out about the third woman, I finally had the courage to leave my husband. And so you have to understand that this doesn't just impact my business, it impacts my personal life, it impacts every aspect.
Of course.
And one of the reasons that I had to find this courage was because I realized that it was really holding me back, and I started losing my identity. I started burying myself in work. Instead of really focusing on growing the business, I was in it. And so I found the courage to leave my husband in October of 2019. And by March of 2020, he took his life.
Oh, no.
So as you could imagine,
darn it,
so many aspects of this impact every part of your life. Many of my employees were very close with him, so that impacted my culture. He was our salesperson. It impacted my clients. And then most of all, it impacted my kids. So I had to pick myself up and try and figure out how I was going to really push forward on my own. Through that, I also had to heal. Right? Like, it's not like you just get up and you're like, wipe yourself off and we're going. Like, I had to go through a healing process. And I can tell you right now that one of the most powerful moments was I just felt like COVID had just hit. My husband just took his life. Our office got broken into and $40,000 worth of equipment was taken. You could imagine that I wanted to give up. Like, I was
I would...
raising the white flag, right? Like I give up, right? And this beautiful moment happened. I went to my staff and I said, it's better that all of us suffer a little than one person suffers a lot. And right now, I need your help. I can't make payroll. Our clients stopped paying us because of COVID, and everyone kind of freaked out. And my staff came back to me and they said, we will cut our hours in half, and we will band together to make sure that we get through this, and there's nothing that's going to stop us. And so when I couldn't see past my tears, they lifted me up. And that's one of the most challenging moments of my entire life, let alone my business.
Wow. Serena, that is impactful, and that is a huge challenge, and yet you're not the only one that has a story like that. You know what I mean? I think that you have just described a challenge that so many founders face, and that is how do you cross the chasm of personal struggle and individual pain and all this stuff, and try to keep faith with all your trusted staff and the people that you've grown to love and all those things. You know, I've done a lot of these interviews, and nothing inspires me more than to hear someone like you who has shared the story of success and growth and all this fun, and then share that impact of this horrible thing that happens, and the resiliency of so many founders, and you in particular today. I appreciate you sharing this and getting so vulnerable with us. It happens. You know, life sucks a lot of the time.
It does.
I mean, it really does. And here you faced, you know, infidelity 3 times. You faced having to go through the turmoil of separating your kids from their dad, and just all of those stresses while trying to maintain a business and also maintain face with your clients. I mean, that is not easy. What would you say is the biggest piece of advice you give to someone dealing with that trial?
I would say, okay, so this is really coming from my heart. I would say the only piece of advice is to really understand that we also have to have the courage to care for ourselves. Because when we're in those chaotic moments, you're kind of in a fog. And what you start to recognize is that you lose sight of anything in front of you. Whether you feel like everything's falling apart. And so what you have to do is step back and find the courage to find silence and moments of clarity and allow yourself to heal so that you can be the best version of yourself in moving forward. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be beat up and bruised. You're still going to be, you're still going to have your cast and your bruises and your scrapes on your face while you're doing it.
Right.
But as long as you take those moments to look inward, that's the moment that will help you to stand up and to keep fighting.
Wow. I love that. I had a similar thing, and I'm not going to go into a lot of details, but needless to say, it was a COVID related deal where I had been building a marketing agency during the first part of COVID, and summer 2021, I actually got it and got the respiratory one, where I was hospital ridden and was so upset that I couldn't function for like a month. I was just like low oxygen levels. I literally had a breathing tube. Like I couldn't walk down the street without gasping for air. And I reached out to my clients after a few weeks and I was like, hey, I am so sorry that I'm dealing with this horrible health problem. What can we be doing better for you? And literally, when you get vulnerable with your clients, when you get vulnerable with your employees, I was shocked that in the month I was unable to work, I lost 0 clients. In fact, my employees stepped up. They assumed leadership roles that I didn't think they would be able to do. And I'm guessing that you probably saw similar things happen when you were emotionally incapacitated.
Yes.
People kind of lift you up in times where you're going through these trials.
They lift you up, and I'm sorry that you also experience that, because it is, when your body's doing that, you feel like you don't have a choice. Like you don't. You're stuck.
Yeah.
Your body, like physically going through that is very similar to what you experience when you're emotionally going through that. You just don't have a choice. And so the fact that it did inspire me tremendously to watch my staff rise up, and not just rise up, but lift me up. And through all of that, I don't think I would still be standing if it wasn't for them.
No, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I love how vulnerable you've been today. And I love this conversation because so many founders assume that they have to appear to be invincible and they have to be somehow so strong that nothing really penetrates their shell, right? Yeah. And yet you and I have both found that when you are weakened and when you are facing a challenge like that, people around you that care for you will step up and they will rise up. And now 3 years later, I'm guessing by you being on the show today, you've been able to bounce back pretty strong.
Yes, and not only with the agency, but I took one of those years to write a memoir about my life, and including those really raw moments. And then in addition, starting a new product line. So yes, I didn't think at the time, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that I would ever bounce back.
Yeah.
I thought I'd be on the floor forever. But the truth is that, yes, it's fighting against so many opinions, so many hurdles, so many of life burdens, and really in the most tumultuous time just to keep getting up. That's how you scale your business.
I love it. I love it. Well, Serena, you have been an amazing guest. I don't want to let you off the hook until you have shared with us a shout out of someone in your network, someone that you know who has been able to help you kind of look at you and you look at them and they inspire you to keep going and keep moving. Who is that person you want to give a shout out to
that
today?
Is my executive coach, Marshall Krupp. I look at him like a hero. I look at him like a father. He knows the most intimate details of my business, my marriage, at the time, everything.
Right.
And he has been the most instrumental person in my life just because he challenges me. He doesn't let me play the victim ever.
Right.
And he challenges me to really look at inside myself and identify what's holding me back. And 99% of the time, it's me. And so Marshall Crump, he owns Pure Executive Boards. And so he actually is my personal coach and then also facilitates groups of CEOs.
Love it. Fantastic. Wow. So much fun. So much meat in here that I think is going to help other founders really understand the raw side of what it takes to grow and scale and how to maintain growth while going through crap.
Yeah.
So I think this has been amazing. How do people follow you? How do people learn more about your product? Where can they buy your book?
So the book launches in March, and it's called Exposed. You Can't Heal When You Hide. So that'll be coming soon. But if you go to heartofcreative.com, you can see our agency work and you can reach me directly.
I love it. Love it. Serena, thank you so much for being on the show today. And I know there's people out there who are watching who are going to really connect with this episode. And if you have, I encourage you to share it with others. This is going to be a great inspiration to many people, I think. So thank you so much for being with us today. And we look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Serena. What did I tell you? Amazing? Impactful? A little emotional? Yes, all of the above. You know, growing and scaling comes with a lot of challenges. There is no doubt about it. Business ownership has its bright spots, but there are some real challenges that we all face, and some that we don't like to admit are happening in our lives. When you are in these moments of trial, when you are in the moment of frustration, either with a partner or with a marital partner or with personal or business, it all affects you as a human. This story that was shared in today's episode really inspired me and made me think back on times in my career and in my businesses where sometimes I handled pain with grace. Sometimes I wasn't so graceful. It's okay. There are times where the pain sometimes makes us stronger. Almost every time it makes us stronger. And so as you listen to today's episode and as you think about how is this going to impact me and my ability to grow and scale my business, I want you to understand that it's okay. Find those mentors, find those people in your life who you can reach out to that can give you the strength to keep moving forward, and learn to love and trust your team. If you're not aligned with your team, with their values, with their vision of where they want to go, with the things they want to accomplish, I promise you, it's not going to work out the way you hoped. But when you are aligned and when you have a caring relationship, your business will go places that you never thought you could. Not only an upward trajectory in your business growth, but also it becomes a real family relationship where you learn to care, respect, and love people. If those are values you want to have associated with your business, take a step back, talk to some of your key players in your organization, and find out if they feel like they're in that type of environment. And if not, do whatever you need to do to align yourself and your team with where you want to take your business. And I'm wishing you the best in finding your path on what it takes to scale.